who Jiggy Juice is or Jiggy J is now, because I know that
That was embedded into you.
yeah, yeah, and that character of Jiggy Junior was a character 30 years in the making, right?
Yes.
And now I'm still that same person, I guess, but with just a different advocacy, I guess you could say that, right?
Nice.
And I know that your coffee business is not just a business; it's also an advocacy
Yes.
of some
Yes.
sort, right?
I think you hit it right
Yeah.
on the
So
spot.
yeah, but before we talk about the good cup and what a good cup is, so the title of the show is actually Morog play of words by what a good cup is, meaning to say what's a good cup of coffee, right? And also what is the good cup, your company that you
Nice.
founded not too long ago. Before we talk about that, I know that something tumultuous happened with the Good Cup Mabolo branch not too long ago. It was 2019. You mentioned,
Yes. Yeah.
and it was all over the headlines. The whole world
Whole
knew.
world. Yeah.
The whole world knew about it. Tell me about that incident and what can you tell us as far as is allowed? Go ahead.
So, yeah, 2019 was a hard year for us. Barely before we hit 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
an incident happened that really changed our lives
Mm-hmm.
and changed the company's direction, trajectory, and changed me also.
Mm.
There was a shooting that happened, and it was all over the news. The entire country covered it. Entire world covered it. But what was, how did it change me, and how did it change our lives? Is that we lost two people, and one of them was my co-founder and my closest friend, and that was really hard. And I mean, how can a company barely hitting 1 year before hitting 1 year experience that? And at that time, I was still 23 years old.
Whoa.
So I did. It was really a transformational phase of my life where I didn't really know what to do, and I just had to pick up the pieces and think, what can I do now, and how can I devote myself fully into rebuilding this, because there are people depending on us. And I think what carried me over is that my support system and my team. Actually, it was mainly that my team's decision to reopen. Uh, they saw how committed we were at that time. I was sleepless for months. I was at the hospital almost every day because they were survivors. It was really hard, but that also made the entire team more. It increased that level of trust in within each other, and I believe that trusting teams is what you need to make things happen. And rebuilding after that was I would say one of the hardest phase in my entire life, harder than COVID. And that was May 2019. We reopened, and no one in Cebu, I would say most of the people in Cebu that heard about it didn't want to step in the cafe. And there was one experience that really struck me, that someone said, "Why is your entire team not smiling?" And I told her that something happened, and that's why we're still rebuilding. And we were very honest
Mm.
with ourselves. We were very honest with how painful it was. Um, we were also very hopeful that things can get better after what happened. So after that, COVID happened, and like in life, if you're stress tested already, it's somehow. I mean, COVID was really hard for people globally, but for us, we already had that somehow stress simulation to the ultimate level. So rebuilding from that was already just somehow. I mean, getting over COVID was already like, okay, the team already has this strong trust. Uh, how can we shift the momentum from this crisis? So I'd say that incident and that phase built something in me that's intangible and and made me devote myself into this advocacy and commitment. Yeah.
Wow. You could have easily given up, right? I mean, something like that, something as tumultuous as a shooting in your cafe, and you uh, witnessing it, or at least you being there, um, could have easily been excusable for you to just, I don't want to do this anymore. What gave you the strength to? I know you mentioned about the support and all of that stuff, but maybe you can continue with the rationale, like and the attitude. Why keep on keeping on when you could have easily given up and went into doing something else?
Yeah, I think that's a super question, and it's something that I rarely get asked about. It's
Mm.
something I also rarely talk about.
Mm.
But I believe what there are multiple factors, but I think the main thing is faith that having that strong concentration of faith that things can get better and the people around there's still goodness left, and picking up from that aspect of having a really strong support system and having that really really vivid belief that things can go well. So I think it was my faith in God, at the same time my faith in having this very strong vision that things can really go well. Things can get better. Things can get better. And going back to why did we even open the business in the first place, which was the vision was to bring goodness to the community. That's why it's called Good Cup. That was really the simplified vision of the way when we started was to bring goodness to the community. So we already had this very strong idea in our head that regardless of what we do, we need to bring something good to the community. That's why it's called Good Cup. And my co-founder's vision was also place Cebu in the global map of coffee. So it's not just a singular purpose. It was actually a high level of, I mean, multiple pieces of the puzzle that I had to piece out and get reminded that every day I wake up for that sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose has never shifted. I think it got better even. And I believe that aspect of like having that strong faith anchored that like God is there and building a relationship with him and being vulnerable and being honest with myself, but also having this idea of having this very somehow clear vision of things can get better, and then having a really good support system and having a really good purpose. I think all of those consolidated. That's what that helped me rebuild things, and I think that redefined also who we are as a brand.
Mm.
I think if I were to differentiate our brand is we've experienced things that should never be experienced by any other companies or any other individuals, and that's what made us who we are, and that's what made us who I am also. And I think thinking about that incident, I mean, you can never you can never offload pain, but I believe strength was what came out. The main value and virtue was strength and faith.
Yeah, and in many ways, I feel like it actually sort of galvanized the team, right?
Yes, I mean,
And
grabe. I mean, every day the entire team was in the funeral, the hospital.
you get closer.
We got closer and we were there for each other, and somehow that also, if I make decisions now that involves the team, I will always look after that phase of my life, because that gave me an idea that, you know, we need to have a long-term view in people. So that also built my leadership leadership focus on having a long-term view in people. So I always believe that where am I now is a consolidated result of multiple experiences, and at that phase in life, that was where I experienced the most level of most level of emotions, stress, depression. At the same time, it's also where I built the most faith. I mean, I built the most, but at the same time, what came out of that was somehow a clearer purpose.
I know you already sort of discussed the purpose of the Good Cup and why you sort of opened this business in the first place. But I want you to go back to the moment when you finally decided, 2018.
Yeah.
When you decided to do this. Tell me what you guys were thinking about. Like, what is this exactly what you thought it was going to be? Obviously not, because there was the tumultuous incident, the shooting in 2019, and of course there was COVID, right? I'm sure back in 2019 you could not have imagined those two things, right?
Yeah.
So take us to the process when you finally decided, and then compare that to where you are now. Is this exactly what you thought it was going to be, or was it like totally different?
First of all, I never expected that the company would be in this level now, and I'll share more about what our definition of this level now is. But when we started, I think when we started, we started in an apartment in Guadalupe.
Oh, wow.
We rented an apartment and we started roasting coffee because the cafe was still being constructed in Ramos. Our original idea was really build a cafe, build a roast, and then the cafe will cook or roast its coffee so that
Okay.
it can supply, and we have a self-sustaining model. And we also want to teach, so let's have an academy. And then, why did we put up the academy? Because possibly we might expand our retail business in the future, meaning we had thoughts of franchising, we had thoughts of expansion. That was somehow the original model. But we wanted to anchor back to the core belief that our goal was to bring goodness to the community. And how do we do that? We were even thinking of, the original plan is that we were thinking of, we wanted to give scholarships to the underprivileged, let them go through the academy, and let them go through school. And at the same time, allow those graduates to work for the cafes we supply. So the original plan was, it was really never what I see things now, but
So what was the original plan, to set up a school?
the original plan
academy?
was to set up a cafe
Okay.
with a roastery and
Okay.
an academy,
Oh, wow.
and then expand that model.
Mm.
But when our first ever customer that I will never forget, when our first customer for our wholesale supply, and that brand is still with us up until now, I went to their store. At that time, it was in Lahug. I pitched our coffee, and then after that, that customer said, okay, I want to buy and order, let's say, 60 kilos per month. And in our head, like, wow, We have an order,
Mm.
60 kilos per month. Finally, we are in business. We're
Mm.
officially a business now. We have
Mm.
a customer. But we didn't have the inventory. We didn't have the idea how to. We didn't have the capacity. So that somehow kicked things off, and that customer gave us the confidence, but also gave us so much work that we were working 12 hours per day to cook for that customer, to roast and supply that customer. So I would remember the time that I was roasting with my co-founder, packing, and then driving and delivering, and I was the one writing the invoice. We really were part of the most exciting time, which is the startup phase. And then that happens August 2018. And then on November, we finally opened our Ramos Cafe. And at that time, when we opened, spirits were high. It was somehow like it was a new concept for Cebu, but at the same time, we also believe not to spend any single penny for marketing. So up until now, we actually have a really, really, really low budget for ad spend. We always have believed with organic, word of mouth, and like this entire referral effect. So, how did things transition from starting a small roastery and cafe in an academy to becoming where we are at now, where the vision is still not the same, but it's a refined version of how we started. So when we started, it was really clear: bring something good to the community through coffee. But now our refined version is to use coffee as a platform to do good. So that's why in our function now, aside from the commerce of things, meaning our business, we also have a very strong behind the scenes efforts of empowering farmers, tracking their output, tracking their income, improving their capacity, improving their quality. There was one farm we started buying coffee at 400 pesos per kilo 5 years ago. Now we're buying it at 900 pesos per kilo. So that doubled their income, that doubled their livelihood, and now they're able to send their kids to school. So we do that now on a larger scale because we work now with multiple of these projects. So I believe when we started, there was really good momentum already because people trusted us. And I think in business, trust is a really, really strong element. And for us, that has been the single most important competitive advantage for us because we really want to build customer trust. You won't imagine, since day one till today, we track the number of errors we do and the number of customer complaints we have. And we have this commitment of 100% win back because we have a strong business that supplies coffee to homes. And if the customer would say, "Oh, the package was damaged," or the coffee bean spilled over, basically we can sign off and say that's not our fault. That's the courier's fault. But we actually replace that without even questioning. We even tell the customer, "Oh, you can keep the coffee or either give it to your friend, and then we'll just replace you. No question." So,
For the record, you're supplying our home too with coffee.
oh, thank you.
with your good cup
Wow,
coffee.
thank you. So, let's say very recently, a friend ordered coffee, wrong product got delivered. And he messaged me. I mean, she messaged me. And then I just said, "I'm sure my team would do the right thing." And then right in a snap, she just edited her message and said, "Everything is resolved." And then your team already is sending a batch, and yeah, and she said like 100%. Like, I hope we get to see more of these businesses where they really care. And when you care is different. It totally brings the customer experience to a different level. So
Gio, you mentioned earlier that you used to buy coffee or beans from this farmer for a certain amount. Now it has doubled, and it has allowed him to put his kids to school, and it improved his life. Um, a lot is said about the coffee chain. There's so many hands
yes,
involved in making your cup of
super.
coffee. You're just there sitting, relaxing in a cafe or maybe at home, but there's so many people involved in making that delicious cup of coffee that you have in your hands right now, sir, right now, ma'am. Maybe you can give us the coffee chain. Give us
Sure.
an idea what is involved in creating that good cup of coffee.
So your good cup actually starts when the coffee is planted on as a seed. So the seed has an embryo like any other tree, any other fruit. That seed turns into a tree, and that tree starts to bear fruits. Now, in coffee, there are multiple species or varieties, like fruits, like mangoes, multiple mango, Indian mango. In coffee, it's also the same. Now, once you start growing that seed, it will take 18 months before the cherry will start yielding ripe fruits. So before you start picking the first harvest, it's 18 to 24 months, so that's 2 years. After the second year, that same tree can live forever. That's the beauty of coffee. Because it's
That same tree can live forever.
yes, as long as it's taken care of.
Really?
So it's technically a tree.
Okay, so the older it is, the more.
The better it gets.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
So that's
When
why.
you say forever, how long is forever?
So we found a tree that has already been growing for 200 years.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. So hundreds of years it can still grow, and the beauty is that if the tree is already not productive anymore, people just cut the branch or prune it, and then it will just grow again. But the root system is still the same, strengthening. It's like wine, grapes, vines.
Mm.
So after harvesting the cherry, these are what we call the farmers or the pickers. They need to dry that. So they need to dry that under the sun because the cherry is a fruit. And you cannot just roast the fruit. You can actually need to remove the seed. So in order to remove the seed, you need to dry it under sun or you need to wash it. And during this process, we call this the processing phase or the drying phase. And this one is very important because this actually is the part of the chain where it increases the value or makes the value the same. Now, after processing and drying, this sometimes this happens in the farm or sometimes they give it to someone. So let's say you have a drying facility, I'll sell to you the fruit. It's like a mill.
Mm.
So sometimes some of the farmers are the ones doing the process, the growing and the drying. Sometimes it's not. It's sometimes the cooperative. So I deliver to you the cherries, you dry, you process. Then after you finish drying, you send it to us because we are the ones that will
But
roast.
drying it just involves the sun, right? And a place to put it to
Yeah.
put the beans, right?
And you need machines.
So there's a machine for drying.
You need the machine to mill.
Okay.
So meaning after it gets dried to a certain moisture content, you need to mill the coffees to remove the seed and then the skin that was dried.
Mm. So it's not like a rice mill, right?
It's not
It's
like
it's a special kind of mill.
It's like a special
Specifically
kind
for coffee.
Specifically for
Okay,
coffee.
okay.
And the moment you remove the seed, that seed is actually what we roast, and we call it in the coffee world green coffee beans.
Green coffee beans, yeah.
So the green coffee beans, if you milled it wrong, it will get chipped.
Mm.
So that's already low quality. If you process it right, if you milled it right, you deliver it to us, that's already somehow like a better quality. And that the pricing category goes from, let's say, 300 to 9,000 pesos per kilo.
Mm.
That's how varied and huge the gap is. I mean, how huge the pricing range is for coffee.
I'm curious. Before you continue, why does coffee beans become less expensive if it gets chipped?
So
What unsa may mawagtang
so
sa
there are
flavor?
multiple determining factors that what makes coffee cheaper and lower quality. Number one is if it's picked unripe, if hilaw pa,
Mm.
they already picked.
Mm.
And number two is if it's dried not efficiently, meaning it was dried too fast or too long.
Mm.
And number three, if the beans already have defects. So once it's already categorized into that, then the value becomes lower.
Mm.
But once it's clean, it's meaning they sort it, they separate. So what they do, they sell the cheap ones sorted, they sell the expensive ones sorted too. So what we buy mostly are the mid to high range because we have customers for both. Now we are what we call in the industry roaster. So after growing, you have processing. So farming, processing, then the roasting. The roasting for us is the most scientifically inclined part of coffee. It's actually not the baristas in brewing. It's actually the roasting. Because in roasting, we're almost like the chefs. We can manipulate the flavor structure. So meaning we can have the same coffee from one farm and make it taste 10 different tastes.
Turn garbage into gold?
Yes.
Really? Like a bad
Yes.
bean? You can make it.
So and then let's say we say, oh, you like more bitter?
Mm.
We can do that in roasting. It's like cooking. So let's say same idea is if you have a steak, the roaster can decide rare, medium rare, well done. But the roaster can also decide the technique. Do you want searing, grilling, or basting or broiling? So for us in roasting, we study so much about coffee science and we've come to a level now that we already have so much of this scientific data that we can manipulate the flavor structure of the coffee depending on what the client wants to achieve. And we guide the client for that, how to let them have a signature expression. That's why they call it signature blend. So when we roast, after roasting, we deliver it to cafes or we consume it ourselves to serve to our customers. Now, the thing with coffee is once the bean gets delivered to you, you have also the baristas also has so much variability to make it taste good or bad. So what we've been doing, we improve the training of and the skills and the knowledge of those baristas so they can make the coffee better. So in the whole value chain, from farming, processing, roasting, even serving, preparing, and then serving, our company is trying. It's not somehow we don't own the ecosystem. We actually are involved in each layer, but our goal as an organization or a business, as a brand, is to improve the output for each level of the value chain. And improve not in the means of, oh, we need to buy the farm. We actually just work with the farmer, collaborate with them, work with the barista. Let's say you're a barista in this cafe and you get coffee from us. Then you tell us, oh, the customers are complaining it's sour. We send a team there to improve your coffee. Or we go into a client conversation and we diagnose up to the level na, are you happy already? So that's what we've been doing in the past years. And around that, we do a lot of coffee science. Like I myself go abroad almost every quarter for studies. My team also goes abroad for studies in coffee science. So
you know what? My if you will allow me, my coffee story is actually quite simple. I remember I used to drink just 3-in-1 coffee or just whatever my mom and my dad would serve me, right? And one morning in the former radio station that I used to work in, Y101 in Cebu Plaza at that time, it was called Cebu Plaza. I don't know if you know that name.
Yeah.
I remember the late Jack Duwak, would brew coffee in the morning. It was 19. 94, 95. He would brew coffee in the morning, and I would smell the entire radio station
Aroma.
smelling like
Yeah.
brewed coffee at 6 a.m., 7
Amazing.
a.m., right? And, ever since then, I've been hooked with coffee. But see, the thing is with me, although I can taste the nuttiness, the rosiness, or the different flavors of coffee, my original intention, and still to this day, of drinking coffee is just for the wake up.
Yeah.
I drink coffee to wake up, to be
Yes.
awake, and I can my drive to go to work is markedly different if I had a good cup of coffee, literally your good cup of coffee, and other coffees. I'm serious about that. Like I feel so much better if I'm drinking a good cup of coffee compared to other brands.
Thank
I'm not saying that because you're here.
I'm flattered.
Maybe I haven't tried many other brands of coffee yet, but yours is the one that wakes me up. So my question here is, I guess, because I am not a coffee connoisseur by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just drinking coffee because I like because my job requires me to be alive and
Yeah.
and to sound like I'm engaged and all of that stuff. I'm energetic. So my question here is like, what is there to know about coffee in terms of taste and flavor that I'm missing out, that I was never really looking for, because my intention for drinking coffee is just, number one, for the awake, number two, perhaps for the good conversation that
Yes.
coffee allows you to have,
Yeah.
and of course, number three is just the peace and quiet, the ambiance, depending on which coffee shop you go to, of course.
Yes.
Those are the three things that I look for. And I don't really look for, although I've had good and bad experiences of drinking coffee, murag lain na ato yung murag man tog naglain akong tiyan, or murag man tog that was too sour or
Yeah.
whatever. I have those experiences, but it's not the first thing that I have in mind.
Yes.
It's those other stupid, less profound things that I look for. So my question is, what am I missing out? What am I missing out? Am I
Well,
missing out a lot?
I always get back to this.
Yeah.
The best coffee is the coffee that suits your preference.
Yeah.
But in terms of how can I improve how your outlook for coffee is.
Mm.
So number one, like let's look at the scientific facts. Coffee, caffeine improves your I mean boosts you up.
Yeah.
But there are also
The last legal
other-
drug.
Exactly. It's a very legal drug. You can get high. But at the same time, it actually improves or decreases your rate of getting Alzheimer's and dementia.
Mm.
So there's a caffeine chemical compound that actually it's called phenylindens, and that's actually good. That's actually what people take sometimes as a supplement to avoid dementia,
Mm.
and that's already naturally in coffee. So meaning the chemical scientific facts already supports better wellness. But there's also a boom now in the industry of not just looking at coffee as a chemically legal drug, but also enjoy it because of the experience around it and at the same time the flavors around it. So let's talk about flavors. So when people experience coffee, the first thing is that they actually, when we taste coffee, we actually think about our closest memory to coffee, which is number one, bitter, sweet, bittersweet. And then, is it chocolatey? That's the general core memory of coffee. And then sometimes some people associate coffee as an emotion, or associate coffee as a lived an
Yeah.
own experience,
Yeah.
like your experience with Jack. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
very vivid long-term memory.
Yeah. Kay
But-
nakinomdom jud ko, sorry to cut you short. To interrupt
Yes.
you, I'm sorry, but nakinomdom jud ko kanang coffee tiniguang mana.
Yeah.
Atong una, like when I was a kid,
Yes.
right? Like mga pitadong ana
Yeah.
ba, like it was like an old
It's like
gesture.
an old gesture, an
Oo.
old drink, old habit.
Oh,
diba?
ano ba niya? Relatively in my lifetime, that's a relatively new thing. It's actually
Yes.
the younger people
Yeah.
that are enjoying coffee.
So you would be amazed. People under 25 now drinks 40% of the world's consumption. So
Wow.
that's an incredible shift in
Mm.
the coffee drinking habit. Because
Mm.
before, we all had this idea na ayaw inom og kape kay basin
Di ka matubo.
diba?
Well, that's what happened to me
Yeah,
actually.
So and then some people really didn't drink, and then
yeah.
so joking aside, there is an emerging awareness and demand for coffee where people already have this idea of what a good cup would taste like.
Mm.
So my suggestion for people really getting into coffee and want to increase their level of appreciation is, when you taste the coffee, is it sour or is it aslumba? Yes or no? Is it sweet? Yes or no? Is it bitter? Yes or no? And lastly, do you like it? Yes or no? So for me, that's the most simplified way to diagnose whether the coffee suits you or not. Is it sweet? And you say, no, it's not sweet. It's bitter, yes. But do you like it? Yes. So maybe you like coffee that's more bitter. So
That's what I like, personally.
when you go to a shop and the customer or the barista would say, oh, mas bitter pa ni, then you already have an association of, okay, I want to get this. But at the same time, for us, what we do as as a company is we also try to bring awareness that there's also other fields in coffee you can explore, but we're not gonna push you and we're not gonna upsell you or hard sell you. What we want to do is, you love bitter coffees, so how do we improve and provide you a really great version of a bitter coffee?
Yeah.
So that's
I'd
our
like to know.
mindset.
I'd like to know that personally.
So
What are the different kinds of bitterness?
So when you cook steak and you imo ipagod or i-char nimo ang iyahang external part, and if you overcook it, when you eat it, you eat the smokiness,
Yeah.
right?
The carcinogen.
So the carcinogen.
Yeah.
So a lot of I would say a lot of coffee served are somehow over roasted,
Oh wow.
or there's too much heat applied. So that's why one thing that we'd always taste like in these coffees is it's smoky, leathery, and rubbery. So meaning, in swallow nimo sa kape, you're almost like drinking, experiencing kanang ash or cigarette butt or cigarette
Na taste niya.
na taste. So that for us is a defect or a quality we want to avoid.
Okay.
So that's a negative.
Mm-mm.
So in a bitterness aspect, when we taste all, so you would be amazed. We roast coffees, but we taste all the coffees we roast. And if we taste that, that's already set aside because that's a defect. So for us,
So if it tastes like if it's rubbery, leathery, and tastes like the butt of a cigarette,
or ashy or
ashy.
smoky,
Okay.
then that's already giving us an idea that this coffee was overly cooked. And when it's overly cooked, if you have the best wagyu in the world and you overly cook that, well done, and then after well done, congratulations na siguro. Or after well done, pagod na, di ba? Yeah, technically burn it to that level. So sayang gid. So even if you get the best beans in the world, you burn it to that level, the taste will be general and organic. Meaning, sorry, not general and organic. It will be, you will not taste the coffee's true profile anymore. And all you will taste is bitterness.
You know, you mentioned earlier that you're one of those roasteries that use a lot of science, right? Getting technology is
Yeah.
especially coffee technologies is relatively new also, right?
Yes.
Long before your roastery was open, maybe 10, 20 years ago, they probably didn't have the amount of science
Yes.
that you're using now, right?
Yeah.
So my question here is, how is the Good Cup and other roasteries like yours using technology to make an even better cup of coffee? Before you answer that question, I'd like to say good morning to Sarah May Inclona. Daghang salamat sa inyong pagtanaw. To John Zuris Kilap. Thank you so much for watching. And all of our viewers who are watching us, not just here in Cebu, but all over the Philippines and all over the world, thank you so much. You're listening to Top of the Morning, and our guest today is the founder of the Good Cup, Gio Visitacion. So, Gio, tell us about the science that you guys are using to make an even better cup. And of course, not just a good cup, but a consistently good cup of coffee, because I think consistency is also very important, right?
Super. So, yeah, science. I think y- there's so much science involved in the company now. But what are we doing, and where is it? What are all of these translating to a value we're giving to the customer? Number one is consistency. The cup, the bag that we serve customer A, let's say we serve a brand, like let's say we proudly work with Abaca. The bag that we serve with Abaca from day one to today should all be consistent because their customers expect that same experience. And in coffee, it's very hard because it's a product that is involving nature, and nature changes. Climate change, you have different weather. So meaning if the weather heats up in the farm, the morphology of the bean changes. So what we do as an organization,
And you don't control the entire value chain, by the way.
control.
Yeah.
We actually are part of the value chain that has so much control, but only on the roasting side. So what we do is we use data-driven operations, and we now run AI, and we now run machine learning. Where did this all start? Is when we started roasting as a business. Our goal already, the moment we turned on that machine, the small machine we had in an apartment, a 1 kilo machine, was how can we make this consistent? The client's order is 60 kilos. We need to make 100 batches of cycles. How do we make sure that the 100 times we cook is the same
yeah.
taste?
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is to taste and to record the color. So day one, we started recording all of this taste, color, and then changes. So imagine day one till today, we've been recording, and during that
You have all this
duration,
data.
we have so much data, and we have so much data in the middle, which is cooking. So we started recording so now we have larger machines, so we started recording the gas. We started recording the temperature
Of the room?
environment of the room.
Okay.
Started recording the temperature of the green bean. So we have this. Now, what did this all allow us? We have 7 years worth of this solid data. And because we religiously made sure that we want to be consistent, it's already evolving to the new phase and era where there's artificial intelligence, where you can already control and run machine learning and robotics around it. So that's where we are at now.
Wow.
And what we are doing is...
So you mentioned earlier that you still have to taste it.
Yes.
So after all these years, after all the technology,
yes.
machines still can't taste. Is that what you're saying?
It's almost, I would say, we are almost hitting the era where we don't have to taste.
Okay.
And we're even developing that now. But for us, taste is the final approval. So...
Because it's not flesh and bones. I mean, like,
Yes.
the machine is not made out of a mouth and a nose, right?
Yes.
That's made out of flesh and bones.
But there's a system where it's almost like you're fingerprinting the moment you look at the bean, they look at the inside of the bean, you can already identify how it will taste.
It can predict how it will taste like.
It becomes predictive because
Wow.
so you just need to train that machine. So
How about how about the other variables? Let's just say moisture and other variables. You can also factor that in
yes,
the machine.
yes.
Wow.
So now you would be amazed. We still feel like a startup. We still feel like we're new and we're really learning. I would say this is what we're doing with all of these technology and these science, data science, and even coffee science is we're making sure that our defect rate drops. Our customers' acceptance rate increases. So meaning if we deliver this much to a customer, we need to make sure that 1,000 bags is accepted. Number 2 is we improve the productivity. Number 3 is we improve the productivity. And then number 4 is because consistency is there, the productivity is there, we can all now focus on improving the knowledge of the person or the client we're helping. So we are actually using technology to make us do better things.
You using technology, AI, and when you started in your apartment in Guadalupe, and the incident that happened in 2018, and the COVID-19 and all of that stuff. That's the story so far, right?
Yeah.
Of the good cup, right? And I think one of the important components of any brand is the story,
Yeah.
right? The story of the brand, the story of the good cup, and you have, by accident and also by sheer guts, you were able to develop this beautiful story of the good cup. My question here is, how about the origin of the beans? Like, does it does that story matter too? Let's just say if this cup of coffee is from Honduras or from I don't know, from Cebu or from wherever it is. Like, how about that part? Is that important? And can you tell us
Super.
the story of the countries or the places of origin of your beans?
Super. That's very important. As of today, we would say that we're using now the brand and our reach to tell more stories that needs to be heard. But when we started, we actually were all focused on importing coffee. Why? Because we couldn't find any coffee that actually hits our level of good,
Mm.
or what our idea of what a good cup would be. So we imported from Brazil, from Colombia, from Honduras. Then during that time, the moment we import or the moment we buy something and import, we always ask the farmer already, what did you do? May we learn your story? And we started adding this into our entire hospitality program, where the person roasting knows what this farm is, what's the process, what's the story. This person serving knows.
Oh.
And the person in selling this coffee in their cafe,
Hmm.
not our cafe, but our client who serves our coffee also knows. So this story needs to be cascaded. We already had this idea the moment we started selling coffee. We want to honor the work of the farmer, because coffee is a product that has mostly had to do with the work of the farmer. Now, since we started importing and we couldn't find a local coffee that's like, for us, like consistent enough, good enough, we imported a lot. And then COVID hit. When COVID hit, first year we had stocks. The late 2020, we ran out of stocks. So imagine, height of COVID, I had to apply for all the permits to fly around the country and look for beans, because we're running out. At the height of COVID, we were selling
Running out of imported beans.
yes, we were running out of our
Mm.
stock.
Mm.
And if you stop selling, people forget about you and people would say, "Oh, you're out of stock."
Mm.
So we don't want to let that momentum die down. So what I did was I traveled to Mindanao, which grows 70% of the country's production
Of coffee.
of coffee.
Wow.
And then I traveled around Mindanao, and that's where I met, because you also COVID was also a time that they couldn't move their stocks. So we became the bridge between moving their stock and then selling this to the customer.
Mm.
And we had to tell that story. So every time we visit a farm, we would get to know the farmer, build a relationship, and then build a really good trust with this farmer. And then we buy the coffee, and then we tell the farmer, let's work again next year.
Mm.
We would love to be more involved. So we did that, and we did that not just in one farm. We did that in maybe like 15 farms. So I was going around Bukidnon, and every time we cross a city, checkpoint, where's your pass?
Yeah.
So this was what happened on COVID.
Mm.
And that also made me the guy on the ground looking for a source. So I would come home with hundreds of kilos of coffee checked in, arriving here in Cebu, driving to the roastery directly, not even to the house, cook that coffee, and then sell. So that gave us somehow this first step and exposure of what's life is in the farm and what are the challenges.
Yeah.
And when you hear different stories, and these are mostly lumad, so indigenous people,
Indigenous, yeah.
you would be shocked that some of these farmers are so close to us. They name their children around me,
Wow.
my colleagues. I became ninong to a farmer's kid. So outside of all of this that's happening, our goal is to really somehow not make the farmers be the face of the product, but tell the stories of the farmers, because coffee is a crop that their life relies on. And if their quality is not consistent, they need to tell that story because it was a challenging time for their harvest. So let's say last harvest season, Mount Apo as an area dropped their yield by 30%. So we need to tell that story because
Why was that?
because of climate change and cycle of the coffee harvest cycle. Meaning this year it was a lower productivity with them because super hot, it wasn't raining as much. And when the fruits were bearing, it was raining all the way.
You know, you mentioned earlier that you've been importing coffee beans for a long time until COVID hit, right? So I'm sure you could compare imported coffee beans versus the ones that you bought from Bukidnon and from the other parts of the Philippines. Is there a market difference? I mean, can you talk about how different imported and local beans are?
Yes, definitely. I think start of 2020, the quality was already climbing up, but the price was high because
when you say the quality is climbing up, do you mean
it was not yet there.
The beans, or do you mean your ability to roast scientifically?
The quality of the beans.
Okay, from the farmers.
The green, so the farmers' quality, the output of their coffees were already somehow going from, let's say in percentage, from 70 to 80%.
So why was this? Has it anything to do with the land, the quality of the land? Has it anything to do with their technique, and the drying and all of that stuff?
Their technique, because they were more exposed and they learned more because there was a lot of NGO work that trained these farmers how to produce better coffee, and the market was able already to support it with the right pricing. So meaning, I do more, you need to pay me more. But the market is not ready at that time before that. But now, at 2020, 2021, the market was already ready.
How much is the quality of the land and the elevation of the land a factor in beans? Because I've always, makadungog ko pirmi yan ang alam dito kay ang elevation la taas kayo, or their land is in a certain way, a certain composition and all of that stuff. Is that a factor?
It's a major factor.
Okay.
Land is... there's the land, the biodiversity, the environment, and the weather will contribute to about 30 to 40% of the coffee's quality as a green bean. What you're tasting, somehow, the flavors there are not from the roaster. It's from the coffee itself. And the coffee's flavors are developed from the variety, meaning what kind of variety it is and where is it grown. Now, every time the elevation goes up by 300 meters, the sweetness increases.
Oh, wow.
And how many percent? 10%. And people like sweet, right? Sweeter coffees. Sweeter coffees will ask more price. So when you taste a sweeter cup, you can ask more. And that's why...
When you say sweeter, sorry to interrupt. When you say sweeter, does that mean it actually has sugar on it?
So
is that what it means?
Yeah. Coffee has sugars.
Okay. Even without putting sugar, like natural sugars.
So the green coffee has sugars.
Okay.
when you roast a coffee that has high sugars, you will develop more aroma.
Oh, okay.
And when you develop more aroma, you will have a sweeter feeling.
Oh.
So that's why the perception of the buying market is this is better because it's sweeter.
Mm.
And hence it's more expensive. And
Oh.
where does that all boil from? Elevation and then processing. So
Mm.
imagine one tree. In one tree, you can make this tree price at 600 up to 1,000 to 2,000 with the same tree. Where can you manipulate that as a farmer? Through processing, drying or fermenting. So they're in the coffee world now. We're also adopting like wine. There's also fermentation that's being developed. So meaning this is already like the specialized market because the market can afford them.
Mm.
So when you talk about the coffee quality in 2020 in the Philippines to today, the percentage of leap of that jump maybe for me is 100%. So now we're tasting even better Philippine coffee than the best coffees in the world.
Mm.
And why is that? Number one is there's already a market that can afford. So the farmers now can experiment more, can invest more, can do more risk. So it all boils down on if I'm gonna produce this, nabay mo palit. Is there someone that will buy? So now, since there is already a big market and growing market for that, the quality keeps getting better, but not just on the best coffees, but also collectively.
Mm.
So now, let's say larger brands are now driving Philippine coffee momentum because they see that they want to support the local coffee supply chain. So
Do you still feel the need to import?
so yes. Why? For better context, Philippine produces 30 million kilos of coffee per year. The consumption is almost 200 million kilos.
Mm.
So the deficit
Just in the Philippines.
just in the Philippines.
Wow.
So that's 2 cups of.
Has that been addressed? The disparity between what we consume
Yes.
and what we
So that's
grow?
why now is the best time for Philippine coffee.
Mm.
Bukidnon has a 10,000 hectare program to grow. So that's millions of kilos. Sultan Kudarat has a big program to grow, few thousands of hectares. So
It sounds like Sultan Kudarat and Bukidnon. You're referring to them as LGUs, not
Yeah.
as individual farmers, right? So is farming coffee beans not a good crop to grow if you're just like a single individual
it is.
who just wants to make a living off of the land, but you don't have the support of the LGU
It is.
and all of that stuff. Can you also do that? And can you have the same quality as those big players out there? Or
Yes.
mapildi juga?
Yes, it is. It is because to give you a better idea, some of the best coffees we've tried in the Philippines are grown by single individuals.
Mm.
Why? Because they are more involved on the process.
Mm.
They're the ones they have more care.
Mm.
And why do they have more care? Because they have more either resources.
Mm.
They can focus more. We see now more individuals even in Cebu
Mm.
growing coffee. So we're hopefully in the next few months or years we can feature a Cebu, and Cebu has a lot of good coffee already. Tuburan
Mm.
coffee is a very big example. But aside from Tuburan, there are also other regions. I mean areas that are growing.
Mm.
Toledo is growing. Alegria is growing.
I'm just curious. I get my coffee, if not from your beans at home, I get it from Abaca,
yeah.
right? And it's very distinct, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, where do the beans come from?
So that's a blend of Philippines, Brazil, and Colombia.
Okay.
And that's really a specific profile for Abaca.
Mm.
And that's something that we really intended to cook for them because that's how their customers enjoy and have a memory of their coffee.
Mm.
So we are actually on the roasting side, we are mostly like a specialized roaster.
Mm.
We specialize the roasting depending on the client needs.
I've noticed that there's so many coffee shops now.
Yes.
And I thought there was a lot 5 years ago, but there's like so many coffee shops now, and
Too many.
all of them are jam packed too.
Yeah.
All of them are so full. Sometimes I don't have some quiet time anymore with my cup of coffee, right? So what is happening? Like, what is going on in the Philippine coffee scene? Because makanog mo sa kausahay nga, I saw a headline a few days ago in one of the business channels, and in I think it was CNBC or MS now. Nga murag ang Starbucks kano is closing down several outlets and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. The coffee business is not doing well, etc., etc. My question is the coffee business growing just here in this part of the world, or is this like a global thing?
Asia is the largest growth potential
Oh wow.
for coffee. That's the general consensus in the industry now. Philippines is interesting. 80% of the Filipinos drink coffee, and they drink 2 cups a day. And what are those? Mainly instant.
Mm.
But you have already a consumption habit.
Mm.
All you need is a habit. Once that habit, and it's hard to stop a habit, and that's a general population habit.
Mm.
And now it's getting younger. So that means there are more people that's drinking coffee now. But the unique part is that habit from drinking at home instant coffee is shifting and being redistributed
Mm.
to other forms of consumption, either through 7-Eleven, through Abaca, through other cafes. Like you even see these 39ers. So there's what we call now
What's a 39er?
like the 39er coffee, like a cheaper version.
Ah, 39.
Yeah.
Kanang Don Mac and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right?
So it's unique because if I used to drink instant coffee now at home, I just pay 10 pesos more. I can already let someone prepare for me.
Mm.
And that's a unique thing that's happening now because our culture, we actually pay for these what we call like small, short, affordable luxuries. And that's what we call affordable luxury for a common Filipino. Letting someone prepare your coffee. I make coffee at home,
Mm.
right? But I want someone to prepare my coffee too.
Mm.
And how much is the difference? 10 pesos. So that's why the cheaper the cheaper, I mean, the more affordable these brands are making coffee available, the more it improves the general consumption. Plus, now the Gen Z or the new generation is now making coffee as a trend-driven product. And if you can see the world metrics, consumption of alcohol is dropping,
Yeah.
increasing coffee consumption.
And absolutely. So has it replaced alcohol?
Yes. Coffee shops now are new social hubs.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been a social hub for elder people before.
Yeah.
But you don't see a kid, or not a kid, 12, 14 years old there, but you would see that now.
Mm.
So there's a lot of momentum in that.
Mm.
And I would always tell people that the pie is not shrinking, the pie is growing, and the market size is growing. So we just need to reposition ourselves that the growth is sustainable. So that's why I see now a lot of efforts, not just on the government, but private sector, major private sector players pushing the local coffee production. Because what is growth in consumption when your local production is not growing? Sayang kayo.
Mm. No, sick.
So, meaning, your local, imagine that the consumption now is growing 7% year on year
In the Philippines.
in the Philippines. And I think that's not even the most accurate number, but
Mm.
that's what the market analysts are
I'm sure it's
saying.
more because these coffee shops are just everywhere,
Yeah.
and they're always almost jam packed,
Yes.
which I don't like as much, but it's fine. Like.
Yeah. But now,
How do you feel about these other what would you call matcha and these other ingredients? Like they're also kind of emerging, right? I
Yes.
mean, does that complement the coffee business? Is
Yes.
is that like a competition to the coffee business?
it's a good
To,
compliment.
to your business, I mean.
For us, it's a compliment
Mm.
because we always believe that you can never, you need to make a menu diverse enough for all sorts of individuals. So if you have matcha, it doesn't just grow your sales. It actually introduces your concept to a new environment or a new market. For us, we see now more younger individuals like we would even say high school going to our cafe ordering matcha. Um, Not just because it's a trend, but also because of its health benefits. So it's not actually biting the coffee pie.
Mm.
It's actually increasing the basket size of cafe owners. So I'm sure.
So are there more kids going to cafes now, and are parents allowing their kids to drink coffee now? Basig dili sila
I
motubo.
would say
Is that myth
there
still there?
I don't think it's ready.
Ah.
I think that myth somehow stopped
Okay.
with the later generation.
So how come we don't see kids? I mean, like, not that I'm aware of or can remember. Nga di ko makakita og bata nga mainom like brewed coffee because they are probably on the sweet side,
So
right?
the unique part is brewed coffee or black.
Oh,
It's actually a drink that's mostly drank by 35-year-old up.
yeah.
So
Older people na siya.
older people, it's
Ah.
black, but there's a growth in black coffee consumption.
Okay. Because
So-
we all know that sugar is the enemy.
So maybe younger generation, 25 years old below,
Okay.
iced coffees.
The title of this episode of this show is called "What's a Good Cup," right? So I'm
Wow.
going to ask you that question now before we wrap things up. For you, the founder of the coffee roastery, a company called the Good Cup, what is a good cup to you, Gio Visitacion,
So
personally?
personally, well, for me, good is very vague, but on my personal level, is a good cup of coffee for me is a coffee that is, in terms of taste, is sweet. Um, when I taste it, it's not as rough. It's smooth. At the same time, when you swallow it, it has this lingering bitter sweetness. So that for me, sensory wise, that's a good cup. But in terms of my definition of how I see a good cup is a good cup of coffee is something that is enjoyed because of the fact that it's an industry that actually has a very huge community impact just by buying a single cup of coffee. You will be amazed that when you buy a single cup, the community benefit is larger than the 40 pesos or the 100 peso you spent. Because if you actually look at how hard and what the hands and what hard work was made for that good cup, you would see tenfolds of impact. So that's why a lot of foundations now are seeing coffee as a major crop, good crop, because the social and community benefit is large.
I've heard this before. This whole benefiting the value chain, you're helping people and all of that stuff. And I guess you can say the same for other crops, right? Other
Yeah.
products that farmers grow. You can say the same
Yes.
to pichay, for
Yes.
example, right? So my question is, why is it more pronounced in coffee? Why is that?
Why? Because coffee is a product where it goes through more hands compared to other fruits. When you buy a cup, the community impact first layer would be you are actually giving business and employment to the concept or cafe that's serving you. And that cafe is giving business to the roaster. And that roaster is giving business to the farmer. And that farmer is giving, somehow taking care of nature. And you need to remember, coffee is a long-term crop. Because this is not to differentiate vegetable and coffee, but if you look at the rate of deforestation happening, it's so high. But coffee is actually can be classified as a reforestation crop, because that tree, you don't need to don't need to uproot the soil.
Mm.
But when you do vegetable, you uproot. So there's soil erosion. So meaning the layers is not just commerce, business,
Environmental.
also even impact down to the livelihoods and nature.
So you're saying that coffee is actually more one of the most impactful crops
Yes.
that you can grow.
And that's what people underscore.
Yeah.
They don't see that impact. Like they just say, "Oh, it's coffee."
Mm.
But in reality, like, that's why for us as an organization, this year we have a program to bring our team to the farms to let them see, "Oh, you're packing.
Mm.
You're just packing, right? And you think your job is just packing, but your job is actually packing, and that's the part of the relay that these guys are relying on."
You know, when you're drinking a cup of coffee in your favorite cafe, your favorite coffee shop, with your croissant and all of that stuff, some people don't really care about the story. They don't really care about this and that, and you know, they're really there for
And that's okay.
whatever reason it is. You know, like my original reason was for the wake up, right? But should we care about that? Should we care? So should more people care about where their cup is coming from?
I would. The only way for the industry to progress faster is when more people care. And what does care mean? Caring means they appreciate the level of work of what it took to make this happen, or just very basic conversation of where is this coffee from? Because the more we as an industry acknowledge where is it from, the more the momentum increases. Because what's the global crisis now in agriculture? The next generation doesn't want to go farming. They're now busy with TikTok. They want to be influencers. They want to be
busy having a cup of coffee somewhere.
Yes, but they don't want to be a farmer.
Yeah,
So
they don't want to
but
plant the coffee that
if
they're
you
drinking.
excite the farming industry, the next generation wants to farm. So that's why, like, for me, the most basic advice would be for customers is increase your level of curiosity and care. That will actually multiply because brands will now be more aware of where is this coffee from because our customers are asking. Roasters will be more aware, by the way, which part of Bukidnon are you from? So now you have this general demand of the story. So when there's that general demand of the story, the traceability, then instantly the industry moves faster because the number one, the farmers will earn more for sure. So that's why for us, we're using our platform.
Is Philippine coffee getting the right amount of exposure, and are we really considered like a major player in the coffee world, or are we still like a complete unknown as far as
we're still like a dark horse.
Okay.
So an underdog, a dark horse, meaning
because we can barely supply our own demands, right?
But 5 to 10 years.
Are you seeing that there's going to be an uptick in coffee growing
and
in the Philippines?
Yes, and at the same time, I see more coffee being exported now.
Okay,
and exported to big brands like Blue Bottle.
You know, for an industry to flourish and to even be known all over the world, does it need the government's help, or do we just rely on good, kind-hearted people like Gio Visitacion to develop a world-class coffee? What does it take, do you think?
It needs to be a collaborative effort.
Okay.
The government is the only. The government can support and expedite the growth and push momentum faster if there's better farm to market roads. There's a farm we visited. We visited a week ago.
Asa man siya?
Sa Bukidnon.
Oh wow, okay.
If you go up to the main farm, 8 hours walk. And finally, the government is putting up a road for that.
Mm.
So imagine that happening on a massive scale. I'm just happy that lately I've been seeing that there's been this coffee bill that's being passed,
Mm.
and there's like budget allocated already. Regardless of how it will be executed, it will still be a great momentum driver because for the longest time it hasn't happened. Someone just needs to do it, and then from there,
So
private
what's in the
private sector
what's,
is really where the private sector.
what's in the coffee bill, by the way? Would you know?
So it's,
Like,
I think they're passing a bill where it supports the coffee industry
in what way?
farming.
How does it? In what way?
I think
Like
they're gonna.
loans and stuff.
I didn't see I don't have enough information, but the general information that I know is not loans, but giving the right materials, giving the right seedling,
Oh.
training. That's
Is there
what's needed.
is there like special equipment that is expensive to
Not-
grow coffee?
It's more on knowledge.
Okay.
So meaning what you need to prepare before you grow.
Okay.
What fertilization we need to use.
So ang ato ang yuta diri sa Cebu, for example, is it like obviously Tuburan is a good place to grow coffee because it's
Yeah.
being grown there more than any other.
We can grow
town.
specific varieties like Liberica, which is what the Barako is categorized.
Oh, okay.
Robusta.
Oh.
Arabica, maybe not so much.
Kanang
'cause,
Barako, but that's a Filipino that's a Filipino variant, right? Or do ganun as in other parts of the world?
that's a categorized under. So Liberica is a global species, but
No. Barako.
less than 1% of the world grows Liberica.
Okay.
And surprisingly, it thrives well here.
Oh, wow.
And Barako is actually the brand around Liberica.
But Barako is a Filipino brand, dili.
It's a Filipino coined term of Liberica.
Liberica.
Yeah.
Okay. Kaning good si Ralph, Barako man ni good niya. Anong kaning Barako man ni brand nila. So kita nagngana ng Barako
Yes.
kanang Liberica, which is grown by only 1%.
Yes.
Why is that? Because it doesn't thrive in
It thrives
specific
very well.
conditions
It thrives
in
very
the
well.
Philippines.
No. Yes, in the Philippines.
Okay. So what's the reason why they don't grow it in other parts of the world?
Because what's commercially accepted is Arabica. But
Mm,
that's gonna change.
okay.
We recently met up with a few researchers.
Okay.
And we visited a farm. Liberica produces 2 times the weight than an Arabica tree. And it can grow in any elevation.
Oh, okay. You know, in certain countries, especially if you're kind of a traveler, grabe gyud kay ilahang coffee culture ba? Like Vietnam and Australia and some parts of the world. By comparison, Gio ba? Like, how do you feel about how would you characterize the Philippine coffee culture? Like, is it more sophisticated than most? Is it like still in the beginning stages? Tell me about how the coffee culture of the Philippines is compared to other parts of the world.
So the coffee culture here is I would say a few years behind major countries like Thailand. We're very behind.
Okay. Did you say few centuries behind?
Few years.
Okay. Sorry.
5 years behind
Okay.
Thailand.
Okay.
7 to 8 to 10 years behind Melbourne
Okay.
and Australia.
Okay.
But the rate of change is fast.
Okay.
So that's what I'm seeing now. It doesn't matter where we are at now, but the change is happening super fast. Where is change felt?
Yeah.
The shift from instant to
Yeah.
another.
Kana lang.
Kana lang.
Oh.
But that's general
Mm.
population.
Mm.
So you're talking about 80 million Filipinos. So our consumption is strong. Our culture is developing.
Yan ang gani mga wave ko na mga fourth wave, third wave mo.
Yeah.
Wala ko kasabot na.
Yeah,
Unsa man
so-
ang wave eh.
They tagged it according to market classification.
Oh.
Where is Philippine at now? I don't think
Yeah.
I want to classify a wave,
Oh.
but we're experiencing a good quality shift of consumption.
Mm.
That's just my general
Yeah,
consensus.
yeah. Yeah, correct. I mean, like most people I know I used to drink just 3-in-1, yeah, because of the convenience and all of that stuff. But lahi yun, lahi yung diferensya sa imuhang level of
Yeah.
of of acuity and activity and energy kung brewed coffee. I don't know why. It's probably because a lot of these 3-in-1 coffees are highly are very sweet, right?
Yes.
And then there's probably we probably experience like a crash, right?
Yes.
Because there's like a
Sugar
sugar crash, right?
overdose, yeah.
Ubos lang galit. So I guess
And
that's
there's also a lot of studies blowing up, and this is like research back, that most or a lot of instant coffee brands are they found traces of a lot of pesticides.
Oh my
and
God, okay.
Also mycotoxins, which is mold,
mm,
and that's found in coffee. So
In-
that's found in coffee that's too wet, too
Okay.
underripe. So that's a quality issue, but you don't taste it. But there's been big research results that's already being broadcasted around the world.
who's like the coffee office in Philippine government? Like, is there like a
Department of Agriculture, but they're setting up a coffee roadmap,
Yeah.
and the roadmap needs a council.
okay? How about the private sector? Like, is there like a coffee council of the Philippines?
It's actually segmented.
Okay.
I mean, it's a bit more. It happens on a localized aspect.
Like how in Cebu, is there like a coffee?
There's not yet. I
Okay.
don't think there's enough demand yet.
Okay.
Cavite has one.
Mm.
Bukidnon has one.
Mm.
Sultan Kudarat has one. Davao has one. Coffee Council.
What's
Okay,
what does it actually do? Like,
So what they look at is more on the roadmap
Mm.
and general support. So let's say NGO wants to help, it gets funneled through trainings distributed to this council. But everyone, I think the general efforts is that everyone is moving the needle.
just like steak, ba nga, because you always mention steak, right? And like there's a certain species of steak,
Yeah.
cow that and is grown in this specific area, and you can call it such, right?
Yeah.
Does it also apply to coffee? Is there do we have like a brand of coffee that's only organically grown in the Philippines, and the species is specific to the Philippines, or doesn't happen in coffee
Doesn't we
like cows and steaks?
So, for the first time
Mm.
in decades, we are starting to grow a variety called geisha, which is like the A5 of coffee.
What's an A5?
It's like the A5 Wagyu of coffee.
Oh wow, okay.
So it's grown in Mount Apo.
Oh,
That's originally grown in Ethiopia and Panama,
okay,
but it was brought by someone in Mount Apo. Someone's
Oh.
growing it there.
okay. So
That's
imported
exciting.
Japon.
Imported Yapon,
Oh.
but locally innate here.
Mm.
I would say our local Liberica is something to look out,
Really?
because that's a strain that's well developed.
Do you have it there in your?
Soon?
Okay.
And
Le-
it's very sweet.
Let me know when you have
I
it.
will
Okay.
let you know for
Is
sure.
anybody serving Liberica in Cebu?
I'm
I-
not sure.
Any coffee shop? Can I ask for a Liberica coffee? Is it
I'm not sure if there are,
Mm.
because it's still a very rare variety,
okay?
and it's a very hard to process variety
Mm.
because it's almost like, let's say, I'll go back to steak again. If you handle American beef versus Japanese beef, lahi ang handling,
Mm.
and everyone's looking at American beef the same way.
Mm.
Everyone thinks beef is same way as American beef, but there's this Japanese beef. Everyone still doesn't know how to cook
Mm.
because it's high marbling. So for us, Liberica is like that. Nah, it's a new variety. We're cooking it the same way as others are cooking it, or how Arabica is being roasted. So that's exciting. We found really, really good results yesterday. And we're going to release that soon. And we're going to closely somehow look for more Libericas. Because when a Liberica is roasted right, it's actually almost tastes like a stevia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? That's
It's
how
very
sweet it is.
sweet.
Oh wow.
But Barangko, imuunahon
Oh.
is dark,
Oh,
bold.
Yeah, yeah,
Di ba?
yeah.
Kanang manukmag ba?
Yeah. Correct.
But
Because
it's actually not that way.
it's even in the name itself. Barako
Yeah.
seems like an aggressive name, even if you don't understand the word, right?
Yes. So
Barak,
But that's because it's roasted very dark
Mm.
and it's processed differently.
Mm.
Now this is like a well handled Liberica,
Mm.
and we were shocked. Like wow, we had goosebumps.
Mm.
Tasted like stevia. It almost tasted like
Like
cinnamon.
stevia, the sweetener.
The
Wow.
sweetener.
Wow.
It's like stevia and cinnamon mixed in
Ooh.
one coffee.
Oh, so that must be a very expensive.
We bought it relatively well priced,
Mm.
like below 1,000,
Mm.
and we want to know how can that species thrive in Cebu,
Mm.
because that's gonna really, because imagine the yield lang per tree, 2 times more than the usual.
Daghan ba tag coffee growers sa Cebu ba? Wala.
Wala kayo.
Aside from Tuburan?
Wala kayo.
Tuburan na gud sa?
Tuburan, and some people are growing in Toledo, some people are going in Alegria.
Is it what's the barrier to entry ban to coffee growing? Like
Teach someone to teach.
someone to teach you how to grow coffee.
So that's our goal now.
Kanang
We want to give back to Cebu and in
Yeah,
that way.
I know. So how does it work? Like, do you where do you get the seedlings?
So that's a question we want to solve. There's someone who's starting to grow in Toledo who's also developing a nursery. And
So i-graft na nila or seeds gina siya?
seed gikan.
Okay.
So meaning gikan yung sa seed na i-germinate na
Oh,
nila after
oh,
germinating
oh.
8 months, 6 months before putang sa yuta.
Okay, so how long does it bear fruit after 2 years after? So long
From
term.
seed to first harvest, 2 years.
Okay. So if you take care of the coffee trees, it'll be there forever. For as long as you're alive.
Can outlive us.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, we can talk all day,
Yeah.
Gio, but I know we have to go. We have our different commitments, and I know your business is booming, and I'm sure it needs your attention. So my last question for you is or it's actually not a question. What is going on with the Good Cup these days, and what is happening with the Good Cup as far as your coffee shop, your roastery, and maybe even on social media? Like, is there anything that you'd like us to know about? Go ahead.
Yes, so we're finally opening a Manila store.
Oh wow, we're very proud of that.
we're
Very,
opening-
proud of you, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you.
When is this?
We're opening on May.
May. Okay.
And we're gonna bring so much sense of Cebu there. In
Oh
fact.
wow. Invite me, please. Invite us,
Yes,
please.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Our concept of the store is an elevated coffee experience, but also we bring the sense of place, which is where we are at, where we are from Cebu. Like we will serve our coffee with otap, and many more. Our roastery, we can't wait to open up a roastery that's available for public tours in the future within the year. That's a coffee factory like a Willy Wonka. And lastly, what's happening in our company? I mean, we need a lot of people to help us with our vision. So follow us on Instagram, The Good Cup Coffee Co. And then you can message us there if you're looking for a job in coffee. And our ramen store and the activities we're doing are all posted in social media. But I think it's going to be exciting because we always are very proud to carry Cebu as part of us. In fact, our sub logos has the map.
Okay.
So we are still regardless of wherever we expand, maybe even outside of the country in the future, we still will carry Cebu as a
Thank you.
brand.
Wow. And we're so proud of you, Gio. I mean, seriously. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys start supporting him in a major way. I mean, like their coffee beans are amazing, and they're very affordably priced, and the vibe there is also very beautiful. And they're going to try to recreate it even more in Manila this April or May.
May.
This May. We'll let you know if there's a specific date already. I'm curious before I finally let you go. Unsa man imuhang bag-oron gi roast, right? Because it's freshness a factor. By kung panalitan na kay roast karon lang bag-oron mo gi-pack.
Yeah.
Does that taste better, markedly better than something that you roasted, let's just say 5 days ago?
So a myth I want to tell a lot of people in
Okay.
coffee. Fresh is always not best.
Okay.
It needs time to rest.
Oh, okay.
Coffee when it gets cooked, it develops gases inside. And that gases will be will be at its peak level within 1 to 2 weeks. So let it rest and then consume it after 2 weeks to 3 months or even 4 months if it's well stored.
Okay.
And that's the only time coffee will start degrading in terms of its aroma. So fresh is best, yes, but too fresh is not good.
So 2 weeks at least. Is that
7 to 10 days.
7 to 10 days? So what do you have there that's already 7 to 10 days old?
So our cafe in Ramos, we now try to sell that's 1 week old.
Okay.
So that it's ready to consume.
Okay. So what's that? What bag is that? Like what?
Daily Driver and Brazil
Yeah,
Cerrado.
that's what we have. Daily Driver.
Yeah.
So should I try something else if I like Daily Driver?
You should try Brazil Cerrado. It's quite nice.
Okay. Brazil Cerrado.
Yes. So you should try that.
Okay. Man. Gio Visitacion, ladies and gentlemen, the man behind the Good Cup, the founder of the Good Cup. It's in Mabolo, just a few meters away from Velez College. I'm sure you know that place. And soon to open in Manila. And, you can go there, have a cup of coffee. They have great people there. But more importantly, that's where you should get your steady supply of coffee beans. Your coffee, but before I actually wanted to ask this question about
Sure.
the Daily Driver that you have. Is it best that we brew it using a brewing machine, or is it like can you coffee French press it? What's the best way to do it for your Daily
for
Driver?
me, using a brewing machine is good.
Okay, drip, yeah.
So drip is good because it has more consistent water. But if you like oils,
Okay,
like better texture, French press is good.
okay,
But French press is also not good for your gastro because of its oils. So better to have it filtered. So
filtered
meaning the drip coffee.
the drip coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you,
Gio
guys.
Visitacion, the founder of